Hey everybody, I am Mike from Chase Bliss Audio. I am here for doing a video for synthexpert.com. I just wanted to show you some of the effects that we have here today. We make 100% analog effects that are controlled digitally via a digital microprocessor in each. So this allows you to just get really hands-on control over all the parameters. They are all MIDI accessible via TRS. And you also have an input on this side for an expression pedal or a CV input. So there's lots of ways to get kind of control over any of the parameters you have on here. As well as the kind of MIDI accessibility and everything like that, you do have the ability to save some presets on board via this little preset switch down at the bottom here. So you get two right offhand just on the surface of the pedal. And then in addition to those presets, we also sell this little guy up here, which is our small MIDI preset controller. And so this has basically 3 banks of a couple presets each. You can scroll through them on the fly. I've just got it hooked up to my brother's gain stage pedal here. Or you can, pick a bank with this switch up here, and then within each bank you've got a few different settings that you can access on the fly. So if you want to use it, you just toggle on and off your single favorite setting. You can certainly do that, or you can use it to be able to kind of scroll through all of your go-to sounds on the fly. So just going through the line here, right now you're looking at our tonal recall analog delay. That is a true analog bucket brigade delay with the Xvive MN3005 chips as, pretty good analog bucket brigade chip. And then we move on to our Specter. That is a true analog through zero flanger. So you'll notice you got control of the 0 point up here. A bunch of people have been excited just about that feature. Over here is our first pedal. That is the Warp Vinyl Analog Vibrato and Chorus. That was the first one we came out with. This is the Mark II, so just a little bit less noise than the original. A couple different features, dip switch panel on the back, all that kind of stuff. Moving up here, we have the Brothers. That is our analog gain stage. That is basically 2 independent sides. One side is the JFET circuit, and the other side is an IC. Each side can be a boost, an overdrive, or a fuzz, and then they can be run together in basically any direction. Parallel, A into B, or B into A, and you get full control with the mix and stack knob of those combinations here. Moving sideways, we have our womb tone phaser. That's a pretty standard kind of Mootron-y phaser, but like the other pedals, tons of control. You can do 2, 4, and 6 stage, and then I kind of forgot to say with any of the other modulation pedals, but we have this modu shape section that lets you get really hands-on control over your waveform. So you can set the shape of the front half of the wave, sine, triangle, or square. Same with the back half, and essentially width and depth. And then the last one over here, this is the Gravitas analog tremolo. Much like the womb tone, it's got a couple different modes. You got standard tremolo, harmonic tremolo, and then a combination of both as well, which is kind of one of my favorites. So those are all the pedals, and you probably noticed on all of these we've got a bank of dip switches in the back. Those enable you to either assign the parameter that our expression input would control. So you can control any of these functions on the surface of the pedal with an expression pedal. You can set whether it's a rise or a fall as you sweep the expression pedal. And then there is also a bounce switch with all of these dip switches on the back. That basically allows you to modulate any of the parameters in real time. You pick 2 set points and it bounces between those 2 set points. And then these top controls, you'll see it says ramp on most of those. When you have that bounce control engaged, that top knob turns into basically just the ramp controls the speed of your bounce. So yeah, pretty flexible. We got Tyler over here with our Juno. He can play us some stuff. It's going through the Warp Vinyl there as it's set to kind of a deep chorus. A sine wave. Can get pretty seasick if you dial it all the way up. That's one that we all really, really like on keys, especially. That Warp Vinyl just adds a lot of nice color to anything you're running into it. There's just a little sample of that. We'll move over to the Specter. Now this is our through zero flanger, and it's you can hear that it kind of self-oscillates, Tyler, if you stop playing for just a second. You can hear with the regen up, it makes some kind of self-oscillation sounds that can be really interesting. But once you're playing, they just kind of fall into the mix of the instrument. And with the control of the 0 point, you can really drastically change the character of that flange. pretty cool, just natural sounding flanger. It's got a pretty unique character for that type of effect. Moving over here, this one's been a crowd favorite, our Tonal Recall. Just a really nice, warm analog delay. Let me dial the mix back so you can hear it kind of stand out. And with this delay, you also get similar control over your LFO and waveform. So you can do triangle, sine, or square wave, and that's just the modulation on the repeats. So why don't I wind it up here so you can really hear what's going on there. You can hear a square wave fast modulation on that delay with the mix fully up. But dialed back, you can just get a really nice, subtle, kind of warbly sort of vibrato on your repeats, which is really nice. It's also got short and long modes, and then both as well, so you can run the short and long modes together, giving you kind of a nice ambient, almost more of a kind of reverby character. Yeah, we've been getting a lot of really good feedback on that one from the synth community here. And moving up to the Gravitas. That one's a bit more typical, and actually the way I have it set up right now is kind of showcasing some of those, the bounce feature on the back of it. I have the rate of the tremolo basically bouncing up and down, which is pretty obvious. You can hear that happening here. And that is all happening with the dip switches on back. I just have those set up so that the rate bounces back and forth between slow and fast, and you can set the slow and fast point on that as well. So that's a good, pretty obvious example of what you can do with some of the dip switches. And a phaser, this is one of my favorite on synths because it's just really nice and gooey. You can go really, really deep with it, or you can dial it back and set the stages a little lower so it's a bit more subtle. And yeah, all of these modulation pedals do have that modu shape section, so you can really get hands-on control. I always really like the phaser set to square because it gives you this cool kind of percussive thing. Tell you want to just give me a chord there. It's kind of a cool, unique sound there, having just that set phase rhythm. You can kind of stagger it with the form knob. Yeah, very nice phaser there. Moving over here, we got our brothers. This is that analog gain stage that I was talking about. So one of my favorite settings for keys on this guy is having the fuzz on the JFET circuit and just a boost on the IC side. So you can run them, I'm gonna make sure I'm not way too loud here, but you can run them both together and kind of lean it towards the boost so you still get lots of clarity out of the synth, but with that nice kind of fuzzy character on top of it. Pretty huge sweep on the tone control on both of these sides. Yeah, find the JFET side is just a little bit of a harder clip. The IC side is a little bit softer, a little smoother. Yeah, you can run them both, you know, independently or together in any combination of the above.
Or if you leave it on at once.
Yeah, so let's get a few of them going here. That's spiked on us. A little harsh there. And the phase and trem together here. A little bit of short delay just for some extra. And then yeah, things really open up with the MIDI functionality. We do a MIDI converter box that will convert your standard 5-pin MIDI input into our TRS MIDI signal. The box is designed in conjunction with Disaster Area and allows you to control 4 of our pedals at once with the same MIDI source. So you can really program a lot of presets and stuff that way with them all working in conjunction and kind of go crazy once you tap into the MIDI accessibility of the things.